Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are opening a file that, I have to be honest, it intimidated me a little bit at first glance.
Oh, I get that.
We're looking at the stack of notes on the fractal probability lattice in neuroplastic navigation.
It's a mouthful.
It just sounds like something you'd need, I don't know, a PhD in theoretical physics just to even open the PDF.
It definitely has that do not touch vibe on the cover, but once you get past the syllables, it's actually discussing something incredibly intimate.
Right.
It's a manual for how we experience being alive.
That's what pulled me in. It starts with all this math and, neuroscience, but by page 3, I realized this is actually about why we get stuck in ruts, why learning feels the way it does, and essentially what reality actually is.
Yeah.
And the central premise is a bit mind-bending. It claims reality isn't a fixed stage we're just walking across.
Right. The standard view is that the world is a pre-built house, and we are just walking through the rooms. This source material argues that we are actually building the floorboards as we step on them.
Which is a terrifying thought if you're clumsy, like me.
Yeah.
But let's look at the unified navigational statement they open with. I'm going to read this, and I want you to help me translate, because it is dense.
Go for it.
It says, reality manifests as fractal probability lattice, where consciousness recursively participates in manifesting what it observes.
That's a lot.
Recursively participates. That's the key phrase for me. It sounds like a loop.
It is a loop. This is the whole concept of participatory realism.
Huh.
So to understand it, think about how we usually argue about reality.
Okay.
On one side, you have the hard materialists. There is a rock. It is hard. It doesn't care about your feelings.
Right. The facts don't care about your feelings.
And on the other side, you have solipsism. It's all a dream. Nothing is real.
And this text is basically saying you're both wrong.
Exactly. It says reality is a lattice of probabilities. Think of it like a video game engine.
Okay, I like that.
The code for the wall is there. You can't walk through it, there are rules. But the room doesn't visually render until the player enters it.
Ah, I see.
The lattice is the potential structure. But our consciousness, our observation, is what collapses that potential into actual.
We aren't just watching the movie.
We are the projector.
Okay, so if we were the projector or the rendering engine, the text gets very specific about how we render it. And this is where the rivers and cracks metaphor comes in. I found this incredibly helpful.
It's a beautiful image. This is the ontological substrate. The text says reality is composed of rivers, which are high probability gradients.
The easy path.
And cracks, which are low probability anomalies.
So a river is the path of least resistance.
Precisely. In physics, gravity is a massive, deep river. If you drop a coffee cup, it falls. The probability of it floating is, basically zero.
Sure.
But the text argues that cultural norms, habits, and established ideas are also rivers.
So if I wake up, brush my teeth, and pour a coffee, I am flowing down a high probability river. I don't have to think about it.
Right. The universe basically does it for you. It's metabolically efficient.
And this connects directly to the neuroscience in the notes.
It does. These rivers aren't just metaphors. They are physical structures in your brain. This is long-term potentiation, or LTP.
Neurons that fire together wire together.
Exactly. That's Hebbian coupling. When you repeat a thought or an action like practicing a tennis swing or memorizing a route to work, you are physically strengthening the synaptic connection.
You're digging the riverbed deeper.
You really are. You're increasing neurotransmitter release. You're making it easier for that signal to pass next time.
And the deeper the river, the faster the water flows, which explains why habits are so hard to break. You're fighting against a physical trench in your own biology.
And you're fighting against the zero-sum economy of the brain. This was the part that kind of stressed me out a little.
Oh, this hit me hard. The idea that we have finite resources.
The brain uses a huge amount of energy. It can't keep every potential pathway open. So it uses something called long-term depression, or LTD, to weaken the unused connections.
It lets the old rivers dry up.
It has to.
So if I decide to become an expert in, say, 18th century French poetry, I am digging that specific river incredibly deep.
Right.
But because of these energy limits, I am necessarily letting other rivers dry up. I'm making myself dumber in other areas to be smarter in this one.
You're trading flexibility for depth. If the poetry river is a rushing rapid, the quantum mechanics river is drying up into a crack.
And cracks are the opposite of rivers. They're the glitches, the weird coincidences, the creative sparks.
They are low probability events. They are hard to navigate. You have to fight the current to get into a crack. But, and this is crucial, That is where all new information comes from.
Ah.
You don't discover anything new while flowing down a river. You only discover things when you step into the cracks.
Which brings us to the tools we use to navigate this whole landscape. Section 2 of the notes focuses on vocabulary, and it makes a pretty bold claim. Words create worlds.
This is the Sapir-Whorf update. The old hypothesis was that language, influences thought. This source goes much harder.
How so?
It argues that vocabulary physically determines your synaptic configuration. If you don't have the word for something, that part of the probability lattice is effectively invisible to you.
They use the example of physics history. If you only have the words tiny stuff, you can't do chemistry.
Right. Tiny stuff is a low-resolution map. It's
Really?
blurry. But then you learn the word atom.
Okay.
Suddenly the resolution sharpens. You can see discrete units. Then you learn quantum wave function. Now you've unlocked a whole new dimension of the lattice.
Wow.
You can navigate probability clouds and superposition. You didn't just add a label. You built a new navigational tool that lets you access a room in reality that was previously locked.
I love the term they use for new words, probability keys. It's like finding a key card in a video game that opens level 4.
Totally. But it works the other way, too. If you lack the vocabulary, you're just banging your head against a wall you can't even see.
Or worse, you don't even know there's a wall.
You just think that's where the world ends. The text calls technical vocabulary load-bearing. It supports the structure of your reality.
So by learning a term like neuroplasticity,
You are actually potentiating the synapses that let you notice your own brain changing. You're building the tool to see the thing.
but here's the trap. And I think we've all met people stuck in this trap. If I spend all my time digging my specific river with my specific vocabulary, let's say I'm a deep expert in marketing, and you're a deep expert in neuroscience, we aren't just doing different jobs, we are living in different worlds.
This is the curse of expertise. The notes call it exponential incommensurability.
I think they get paid by the syllable.
I think so. But it describes a real problem. As specialists go deeper, they move along orthogonal trajectories. That means they are moving at right angles to each other. They aren't just far apart. They are in non-overlapping dimensions.
And the deeper you go, the harder it is to get out. They call these probability wells.
Think of it like a canyon. If you dig your river of expertise too deep, the walls become so high that you can't see over them. It becomes metabolically prohibitive to climb out.
This is functional fixedness.
Exactly. You look at a problem and you can only see it through the lens of your expertise. You literally cannot perceive data that contradicts your deep river.
Deep rivers become prisons. I highlighted that 3 times. It explains why experts are often the last ones to see a paradigm shift coming.
They're comfortable in their canyon, which gives the underdog a shot, the novice advantage.
Right. Being a beginner isn't just about being bad at something, it's a strategic position.
The novice has an unpotentiated synaptic landscape. They haven't dug the trenches yet.
They're a blank slate.
So when they encounter a problem, they are forced to walk across the cracks. They stumble through the underbrush. And because they aren't zooming down a highway at 100 miles an hour, they spot the hidden path that the expert missed.
So we have experts stuck in canyons and novices wandering in the woods. How do we actually build a coherent view of the world? This source suggests spiderweb topology.
This is the solution to the isolation. We have to practice active commensurability.
Meaning we have to deliberately weave threads between the rivers.
Yes. And the tool for that is metaphor, but not metaphor as, like, poetry.
Metaphor as technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Usually we think a metaphor is just a nice way of saying something. Love is a rose. Okay, cute. But the text says a true metaphor identifies a structural isomorphism,
A shared shape.
a shared shape between two different domains. The example they gave was mapping natural selection to cultural evolution.
Right, the concept of memes.
That mapping works because the structure variation, selection, and retention is the same in biology and in culture.
Ah, I see.
By realizing that shape matches, you build a bridge. You can use your knowledge of biology to navigate the world of culture. You've created a shortcut in the lattice.
And they call this silk production. Every time we successfully cross between two domains, we leave a trace.
We leave probability traces. If I struggle to understand quantum mechanics using poetry and I finally figure it out and write a book about it, I've left a silken thread for you.
So I don't have to hack through the jungle.
You can slide across the thread I left. This is how civilization advances. We weave the web so dense that eventually it becomes a floor we can all walk on.
There was a really humbling moment in this section, though. The no privilege center concept.
Yes. We tend to think human consciousness is the spider in the middle of the web, but the source says we are just one probability density region.
And the web includes the perspectives of octopuses, potential AI.
Even geological timescales.
I love the octopus mention. An octopus has distributed cognition. Its arms literally think.
And that's a valid, distinct way of navigating the lattice. We aren't the kings of reality. We're just one specific type of node in a much larger system.
Speaking of nodes and navigation, we have to talk about the captain of the ship. Consciousness itself. The source defines consciousness in a way that honestly stopped me in my tracks.
What's that?
Meta-navigation phenomenology.
It sounds technical, but break it down. Phenomenology is just what it feels like. So consciousness is the felt quality of navigating the probability gradient.
This touches on the hard problem of consciousness qualia. Like, why does red feel like red?
Yeah, why isn't it just data?
Right.
Standard science struggles with this. It can describe the wavelength of light, 650 nanometers, but not the redness.
So what's their answer?
This source suggests that redness isn't a property of the light. It is the felt texture or friction of your specific probability detectors navigating that specific region of the lattice.
It's the friction of the road. That makes so much sense. And it explains why altered states like psychedelics or deep meditation feel so fundamentally different.
You're effectively changing the suspension on the car.
Or you're flattening the road entirely.
That's it. The text describes psychedelics as flattening the gradient. Normally, our rivers constrain us. We see a chair, we sit. We see a door, we open it.
The habits.
Psychedelics temporarily wash away the banks of those rivers.
Yeah.
The landscape becomes flat, chaotic. You can make connections, weird low probability connections that you normally couldn't because the walls are gone.
And meditation is the flip side.
Meditation is voluntary probability control. It's training your attention to not flow down the path of least resistance.
To stand in the river and not be swept away.
Yes. It's the ability to observe the lattice without immediately collapsing it into a habit or a judgment.
This leads to what they call the strange loop, the recursive nature of it all.
It's the idea that the brain shapes the lattice by learning, observing, naming things.
But the lattice shapes the brain.
Right, by providing the structure we navigate. It's not a vicious circle, it's a spiral. Generative recursion.
They even touch on the God question here.
They do, and they reframe it completely. God isn't a figure in the sky. In this model, God might be the complete lattice structure itself, which is infinite and unknowable. Or God is the process, the universe discovering itself. We are the universe's way of exploring its own probability space.
Which brings us to the question that keeps me up at night. If we are just navigating a lattice and our brains are just digging rivers based on probability, do we have free will?
Or are we just water flowing downhill?
Yeah.
The source takes a very nuanced stance here.
Yeah.
It rejects libertarian free will, the idea that you can just do anything uncaused, like floating into the sky.
Sure.
But it also rejects total robot determinism. It calls agency probability redistribution.
Probability redistribution. It sounds like accounting, but I think I get it. It's not about the moment of choice. It's about the preparation.
Exactly. Think about the pianist example from the notes. You don't just choose to sit down and play a concerto perfectly.
No.
You can't just pick that branch of reality today.
Right. If I sit at a piano right now, I am choosing to make noise. The concerto branch doesn't exist for me.
Correct. But you can choose to practice scales. By practicing, you are engaging in that neuroplastic labor. You are potentiating the probability channels that lead to a successful performance.
You're making the success branch physically larger and easier to access.
And you are depotentiating the failure branches.
So free will isn't about what I do right now. It's about the landscape I've been sculpting for the last 10 years.
Yes. You aren't just hoping for a good outcome. You are statistically rigging the universe in your favor through effort. You are sculpting the branches so that the choice you want to make becomes the path of least resistance.
That puts a tremendous amount of weight on the individual. It implies we are responsible for the landscape we live in.
We are. This is the moral dimension. Even in a universe with randomness, you are responsible for the shape of your rivers.
What's the example they use?
The stark one. A murderer has shaped a mental landscape where violence is a high probability outcome. A deep river. A saint has shaped a landscape where compassion is the path of least resistance.
So we build the road we walk on, and if the road leads to a cliff, that's on us.
Precisely. And it's not just individuals, it's collective. Civilization is a group effort to steer through these multiverse branching points.
Things like climate change or artificial general intelligence.
These are massive branching points in the probability lattice. No single person steers the ship. But the collective neuroplastic configuration of humanity, our shared beliefs, our technologies, our values, that determines which branch we take.
We are collectively navigating the species towards specific multiverse neighborhoods.
I mean, yeah, when you put it like that.
We've covered a massive amount of ground here. We've gone from rivers and cracks to the power of words, the trap of expertise.
The spider web of connection, the nature of agency, it's a huge system.
It is. But if you strip away the jargon, the message is incredibly practical.
It is. You are not a passive observer. Your attention, your learning, your words, they are tools. You are constantly building the world you perceive.
It effectively dissolves the barrier between learning and being. Learning isn't just adding data to a hard drive.
It's upgrading the operating system and changing the hardware simultaneously. And it changes the definition of what it means to be well-informed.
How so?
It's not about knowing the most facts. It's about having a high-dimensional navigation apparatus. It's about having deep rivers and the ability to cross the cracks.
It's about being a spider.
Right. Weaving a web that can hold multiple perspectives without breaking.
So what's the takeaway here? For the listener driving to work right now or washing the dishes, why does this matter on a Tuesday morning?
It matters because it reclaims your agency. You are a multiverse probability filter. Every time you choose to learn a new word, every time you choose to break a habit, you are literally voting for a different version of reality to manifest.
You aren't discovering the future.
You are participating in its creation.
I want to leave everyone with a final provocative thought from the source material. It talks about cosmological participation.
This is the biggest picture of all.
If we are the primary probability sculptors, at least in this corner of the universe, then the Anthropocene era isn't just about us messing up the climate.
It's much bigger than that.
It's the era where humanity takes the wheel of probability itself. We are moving from drifting to driving. We are determining which cosmic possibilities actualize. That is a terrifying responsibility.
It implies the universe is waiting for us to decide what it's going to be.
Exactly. So go sculpt some good rivers, everyone. Dig some new cracks. And be careful with those probability keys. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you in the next reality.